Hi, everybody. We're back. Sort of.
Sort of.
We're in a very, very small study room in Coralville Public Library, and we got to be quiet because I think we're supposed to be studying.
Not meeting.
Not meeting. No. This came up.
This is not a meeting room.
This is not a meeting room.
It's a study room.
So we could be in trouble. So we're gonna keep it quiet, but hopefully this is a really good mic.
Hopefully.
That will pick this up.
That's good.
This is a hopefully very short-term solution to our internet capacity issue. We have a couple of potential solutions that both of which may happen. I don't know, but hopefully one or both will happen soon, and then we'll do this because this one scares me. A kid legit half my age may come over and like tell us we have to leave now.
We could get photobombed because this is a window.
There's so many things that could happen. It's terrible. Yeah, actually, this could be like the Today Show. If we do this again next week, y'all show up out here with signs. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm.
So, hello everyone. Welcome to the Magical Talking Hat podcast, the only podcast in the world that originally was made to condemn and deride Bette Midler's song From a Distance. But about the time my dad died, it pivoted into more of a Parent Trap thing where we're going to try and get his dad to marry my mom and then we'd be brothers.
Yeah.
But that completely fell through for a variety of reasons. So now we're not sure what we're doing.
Probably the biggest obstacle was my dad was already married.
I think the distance was the biggest. I mean, the marriage was a thing, but I feel like we could have worked around that.
You know,
I know people.
Maybe they could have met in Utah or something and made that work.
Wah, wah.
Oh, come on.
I'm Tony.
And I'm William. This is episode 538.
Yeah, so here we are at the library. And the reason we're up against this is the camera is on the other wall. And we both could like reach out and touch that
wall.
We're touching the wall. Yeah, we're in a very, they said, do you want a small one or a big one? And like, it's just the two of us, so it's a small one. So like,
here we are.
Yeah, this is a photo booth.
And we could have done it over. I mean, we could have fit over there.
We've discussed some options, but yeah. I don't know, because I think we assumed meeting rooms.
Not.
And these are not places where you're supposed to make much noise, I don't think. So not ideal for podcasting.
It does feel good to be together.
It does. And it feels neat to have like a clean space where we can set things up and all that. That is kind of cool. But very nervous about the noise level. For those of you just joining us, this is it. We have a hat. It is magical in that it has its own email address, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com. And people, all kinds of people, more people than I could count. Tons. We're real successful.
He was never good at counting.
I got my shoes on, so I'm stuck. People write into that email address, themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com, with little notes, comments, topics, questions, things like that. The hat used to magically transmogrify those emails into little note cards that manifest physically within the hat itself that have the information written on it. It's not going to keep doing that, but for now we're still dealing with that, and so we draw those note cards out of the hat at random, read them on the air, talk about them to wordboard, do that for about an hour. It'll probably be less today because there's a time limit on these rooms. That's the whole show except the parts that aren't, which is most of it. Yeah, going forward, once we've finished our backlog here, we will be actually reading full emails. And I will say the hat has informed me so far there has only been one written, which may be that people are concerned, given our history of how fast we do these, that it's going to be like a year and a half before, which I think is a valid concern. I'm going to work to not do that. We'll try and get through them more quickly so that we can do this new format. So you're
Okay.
welcome.
Yes.
So how's your week been?
It's a lot of work, buddy. School and writing and whatever. But I'm really enjoying it. I mean, there's the parts about it that aren't fun, which I've discussed with you in private. But no, it's really nice. And Happy really likes her new job. So
Good.
That's the mood around the house is just overall very positive. I mean, I
Which is why you didn't want me to come over.
yeah,
I was gonna ruin it hard.
I didn't want you to bring me down, Bruce.
Yeah.
Oh, see, there's one of our photo bombers.
I'm pretty sure that's the dude who will kick us out.
But anyway,
they're fans. They're all fans.
Yeah, the mood at the house is really good. The only problem, it's not the only problem. The biggest problem I'm having with how things are is having to say no to people about various things because I don't have the time.
Is that why you wouldn't bring me those pancakes?
That's exactly
because of
why.
school.
That's exactly why. I'm just too dang busy.
I'm excited because you and I talked yesterday over Zoom, and I got to see. I mean, I know what you've been writing, but I got to see what it was gonna look like, and it's very cool, very multimedia, neat stuff. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So yeah, I'm pretty, even though I've been very, very busy, it's felt really good. And so everything's great. What about you?
Just keep swimming.
Yeah, just shut up. Oh my gosh, don't make me talk about that.
No, I don't think that's a good idea, but it's funny for us.
What about your
in-jokes, people? In-jokes you're not involved in. That's the new library-based That Is Fucking Hot podcast. My week has been good. I'm afraid we will not be able to have our episode of Loki Watch because we haven't seen it yet.
Oh, that's all right.
We'll probably watch it tonight, but Trish had to go to a old high school friend's husband's visitation. Somebody died from back in the day, and so she had to drive them. So she spent a big chunk of yesterday doing that. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she's a good egg though, so she went. I mean, it's not like they've talked in years or anything, but Trish is good about that kind of stuff. Trish is who you want around if somebody dies. She's very big on the rules and practices related to funerary services, and she's always there to help you in the receiving line or make a casserole or whatever. I'm terrible at it, and I'm like, they're dead. That sucks. I'll deal with it. And that's how I want y'all to be too. Like you can just immediately forget. That's fine. But yeah, she's real good on that. How's my week been?
Yeah, how has it been?
I think it's been good. I don't want to go into a lot of details, but the whole paying for the roof issue.
Yeah.
We are doing some financial things to make it happen, and those are going very well.
Good.
As of this morning, they're going really well.
Good.
So we're pretty pleased about that. I don't want to get into a lot of banking details, but we're robbing a bank.
Oh,
if that's yeah. So
wait. You haven't invited me on your bank robbery?
No.
Oh, because
don't want to get caught.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no.
I understand. But I mean, I could drive the car.
But
no, probably not.
No, and the last time you said pick them up instead of stick them up, and like
we spent an honest mistake.
But there was like an extra 20 minutes just working that out.
Okay, well,
it was. I mean, maybe next time we'll see.
Yeah,
we'll start you on something smaller. Well, you can work on a lemonade stand.
Well, you promised to teach me to pickpocket, and you never did that either.
I know. I mostly use that time just to pick your pocket. Where's your wallet right now?
I don't carry a wallet anymore because you kept picking my pocket.
And yet, even though you don't carry it, I've got it.
Yeah, well, you've had it ever since.
That's why you don't. No, however, that was my wallet. I did just pull that out of the pocket of my new fancy caftan that my wife made for me with pockets.
You didn't tell me she made it.
I did tell you that. I told you that just outside.
You
Yeah,
told me
she
it was
made
cotton.
before that. Yeah,
Oh.
Trish made this. Trish.
It's not a virgin.
So I hate pants, and so we're gonna buy a caftan, but I don't want. I had some caftans, but they're very plasticky or whatever. They're not comfortable. So I wanted like cotton ones or whatever, and I ordered one in the biggest size I could possibly get on Amazon, and I still couldn't fit it over myself. So Trish was like, "Screw it, I'll make you some." So she went to Joann's and she bought like 4 different kinds of fabric, and this is the first one, the proof of concept, as it were.
Can I touch it?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it feels
it
really
was real
soft
nice,
and comfortable.
lightweight, and yeah.
Oh, and she's got like a nice. What do I
Yeah,
say?
we worked real hard to there's a little slit down by the bottom, but yeah, it's a pretty long one, and it's got pockets, which is huge because I went shopping in it and I could put my wallet and my keys in there, and I'm all set.
It looks nice.
Because my purse is giant, and so I don't want to take it just for my wallet and my keys. Frequently, I just hold it in my hands, but that's silly. So I love this. Felt very confident shopping. I think so. I'm an enormous man. I'm an enormous weight man. I can unintentionally be very intimidating to people. Because again, just the big, like, that's a thing. That's a thing that large men have to live with. I feel like that is eased up by the fact that I'm wearing a baby blue paisley caftan.
I don't know.
So I think it makes me come off a little as friendlier. At least I feel that way. So then I feel more comfortable. And so, yeah, I've been really enjoying that. I have, as we have discussed, made some changes in how I'm going to approach my writing situation, which among other things means my novel should be available for people to purchase sooner than expected. For those of you, I don't know how many people there are who didn't take my offer to help edit but still want to read it, but for those of you who are out there, like, you'll have your shot soon. I'll make you pay for it, but it'll probably be pretty cheap.
Especially if you get the like the electronic version, right?
Yeah. I think that's mostly it. My gaming group, we had our first sort of action scene in the gaming, and so we really got to try out the system. And it really kind of did what I was hoping it would do. It's very good at abstracting. So like too often with my group, they'd say like, I want to do this thing. And I'm like, okay, can you describe that in game terms so I know what we do with it? And that's not a problem here. You pretty much can say what you want, and then I can translate it over.
What system is that?
It's Cortex Prime. It's the one that Craig was telling us about. And it very much abstracts things in a way that you can just say, okay, we'll make this that, and then it's fine. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased with that so far. Otherwise, not a super involved week. I'm trying to think if I've seen any movies or anything. We finished season 2 of Legendary. Loved that. Emotional roller coaster. We just started up on season 2 of Mrs. Maisel. We'd had a big gap just because we had other stuff, but came into that, loving it again. It's great stuff.
Okay.
We haven't gone back to Warrior yet because that second episode was just so bad that we're like, maybe we'll see. But we're really digging Foreigners. We're almost done with that. I would highly recommend that, especially if you speak Norwegian. But if not, there's subtitles. Yeah, so we're almost done with that. I'm still loving these Peter Grant books that Jazz turned me on to. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. I am playing a new video game, and it's funny because it's a video game that was so bad that like you can get it for like $3.
Yeah.
But it's not like a little game that sucked. This is a full-on open world RPG with different skill tracks and companions and romance options and everything that was so bad that like nobody wants it. It's called the Technomancer. And I was like, the name alone is worth $3 to me, so I'm trying it, and it's super rough. I may give up soon, but like it's a whole game. Like it feels like 2 people worked for years to make. Like it really, it has a very low budget Mass Effect vibe to it, but like really low budget.
But it's open world though.
I mean, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ground to cover. At this point, I'm still sort of in the main area, but well, I mean, it's open world again, like Mass Effect is and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
So it's not a sandbox, but I'm gonna have different areas I can go to and stuff like that.
And each area is fairly big.
Yeah. I'm assuming I'm still in the one area, but it's very, very big. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I didn't really want to talk about it much, but there we go.
We found out that we probably won't be able to couch co-op.
Yes, and you also found out you may be the only people in the world who like that game.
Yeah, I mean, she's liking it, but we're talking about the new Dark.
Sorry, the new Dark Alliance game.
The couch co-op that they've promised to release later is probably only going to be for the PS5, which we don't have.
Which only 6 people own. So
we want it, but we don't have it.
I think we talked before about the Tomorrow War.
Did we?
Well, if we didn't, I meant to, because I was really pleased when I saw the trailer for the Tomorrow War, which is a movie where Chris Pratt has to go to the future because aliens killed everybody in the future. And the solution was to come back in time and make people go fight in the future. And I remember watching the trailer and being like, this looks like it'll be a decent action sci-fi. And I totally get why people would want to watch it. And it looks like they've done some effort. And I have no interest in seeing it. And I feel good about that. Because I need more things like that in the world. Where it's like, I don't think there's anything wrong with this. I'm just not interested in it. And so I was kind of pleased that I didn't have that FOMO vibe that I have to see it. And I still haven't seen it. However, they did a pitch meeting for it.
We saw it and the pitch meeting.
So how did the pitch meeting?
That was great. So perfect.
I was gonna like the pitch meeting, the whole point of them is to make fun of it, but trying as best as I could to like extract sort of factual things. Wow, it does not. It sounds like it's gonna have to, when I give my presentation to people about why you should need a license to be able to make time travel stories. It sounds like this might be my first example I have to give now.
This is the one for sure. It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
It was just like if you had time travel and you were trying to stop aliens from destroying the planet, everybody could come up with a list of like things. And it sounds like literally every decision they made were like at the bottom of literally humanity's list.
Sure.
Like, no, this is the last idea you'd have. That was their first on like 4 different occasions.
It is weird.
Oh.
I mean, it's kind of amazing that the pitch got through. Like the person who heard the pitch for the movie didn't go, wait a second.
Well, they probably said Chris Pratt in the pitch, and that's gonna help. But yeah, so that looked really terrible, and I don't want to see it now, but I a little bit do, but I don't. No. Let's do some questions. I made this whole thing about how we were going to try and tear through those. So,
all right.
How would you like to read one? You haven't gotten to read one in ages.
Thank you, Hat.
I have the hat over here off screen, but
this is from David. What one little thing brings you joy now and then, or every day? One little thing. Well, I pretty much have chocolate every single day, and I have to say, I'm not tired of it. If it's a hot chocolate or if it's a candy bar, whatever, it's nice. And also, another thing that I seem to always gives me a little, like, if I wake up in the morning and I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling like I want to do anything, or like, gosh, how am I going to get things done today? And, you know, as soon as I sort of greet my wife in the morning, it's always like positive and cheer. I mean, it does. She's the same. It doesn't matter what kind of mood she's in. It's like we put each other in a pretty good mood every single day, and it's just really nice to have that. And it really is helps motivate me to sort of do things in the day that when I first got up, I didn't feel like doing. So I'm sorry.
I forgot you're in the same room.
It's just a fact. It's just a fact. I had to say it because it's true.
No, I'm also gonna mention my wife in there, although not if I'm in a bad mood, just greeting her makes me happy. What kind of psychos are you? I adore my wife. I don't want to spend time with anybody but her, but even I can wake up cranky, and her saying good morning doesn't make that go away. That's crazy.
I'm just
talk.
telling you that's how it works.
So
I don't know.
mock you a lot.
And it gives you joy.
Well, no, this is the thing. It can, but the problem is I have found as much as I can just deride you and put you down, you're always further down. Your own sense of self is always lower. And it's like, that's the thing. Like, it's not fun to bully Droopy Dog. Right? I mean, that's not know. I mean, it wouldn't be, I would think.
Okay.
It'd be like, you suck, and yeah, that's true. But every once in a while, I come up with something and some category, some aspect where you clearly have a shred of pride and self-esteem in that, and it really gets you when I say it. And like, I can see, like, you really, those give me tremendous joy.
Okay.
It's sometimes I'm like, what is even the point? He's already just a barren landscape of self-loathing as is, but there are little pockets still up there, and I love when I just get to smash them. It's fun.
Okay. Do you have a real answer?
Cheese is nice. I do really like cheese.
It gives you joy every once in a while, every day.
Yeah, no, I love cheese like you love chocolate.
I mean, if I get a fresh A&W root beer from a restaurant that makes it every day, yeah, that's pretty nice. It's pretty great.
I will say, related to my wife, it's not greeting her in the morning that makes me happy.
Makes me happy. What can I say?
Although I will admit, actually, greeting your wife in the morning makes me happy.
Don't blame you.
So the wife and I are comedy nerds. And as we've discussed before, she and I, and it's not, we don't plan it or anything now, it's just built into it. We do bits. Mm-hmm. We say something and we go back and forth, and it's very much a how long can we build this? Or in some case, how long can we do it until somebody breaks and laughs? Right. And it's such a dumb little thing, but I love it. I absolutely love it. And I especially love it because she's really good at it. And I think I'm really good at it. And no one else I know is really good. And to be fair, that's probably in part because she and I are a double act. So like, we know each other's riffs, and that's easier because like, I have a hard time convincing you that we're doing a bit without just telling you we're doing a bit.
Yeah, sometimes.
And so sometimes I'm like, no, but I can't like tell you that. And my other friends, for the most part, just, it's too quick. And that, I'm not trying to say I'm amazing. That takes work. Like, most of my marriage has been based on trying to create good comedy bits and nothing else. So, we've got 20 years of experience, but it's such a dumb thing, and it's just for our enjoyment. But I love it. It's most of what gives my days meaning. And also cheese. Cheese is good. Also, I've heard orgasms are pretty nice. I've heard. I mean, a lot of people have the little thing, the French call it that, right?
Little death, I thought.
There we go. And death brings me joy every once in a while. Pets, this one you don't have. My cats. My cats bring me joy on a fairly regular basis.
When I go down home to the farm, as soon as I get there, it's really, it's almost like I become a different person because it's the whole place is just a different world and you can kind of forget everything else that's going on. It's kind of nice. It's very nice, actually.
That sounds lovely. It also sounds like the opening to something that could turn really racist really fast.
What?
Oh, come on, just the way it is back home in the small town on the farm, like that's real quick to somebody talking about the good old days and then talking about how sorry, you are a sweet summer child, so you not aware. And I was not saying that you would do that or could do that. I was just saying that's the first paragraph of a thing that goes on that you're like, oh, they're racist.
Oh, okay.
But it's a good old days thing is what it comes down to. So that's what you do. See, this is the kind of bit that I can't. You either just miss it completely or you're just yelling the N-word over and over again.
Okay.
Like Patti Smith.
What?
Patti Smith, the singer.
Yeah.
I had a friend who was trying to get me into it, so she made a cassette of it. And back in the day, there was a song that, in an attempt to be politically dangerous, I guess, has a section where she just yells the N-word over and over and over and over again.
I didn't know that.
And I believe it's supposed to be a reference to a particular class of people who's being treated like that. But everybody who's singing is white, and it just felt, it felt adorable is what it is. I'm like, oh, it's like the 60s and they're like 20 and they're trying to be politically
edgy.
Exactly. And I told my friend that my friend was not happy with that assessment. Yeah, I don't think you'll find it on iTunes.
Probably not. Probably not a bad thing, really.
But no, my pets are a big one too.
I'm sure they are.
Just seeing, they also can annoy the shit out of me, but now that I'm home more, I take a lot of pleasure out of certain routines, which is weird because in general I get bored with routines very easily. But certain things like, shutting down the house at night, kind of stuff like that, and things involving the dishes and so like just patterns I like because my head has registered like this is a thing I do and it feels very productive because it's a thing I do and that kind of stuff. So, but I don't know. I feel like this is the sort of question we should ask now and then next week answer because we will have had a chance to like pay attention.
Yeah, really.
But we're not going to do that. It's more effort than we're into.
Why would we do that?
So I'm going to draw another thing and you must deal. This one is from Azure Talon.
Tony's nemesis.
I wouldn't give him that much credit.
He probably only wears pants. Of course, I only wear pants. So.
That's an image. Azure Talon just walking around in pants.
In just pants? I didn't really mean that. Never mind.
In my head, he's about to wrestle someone, I think is what that is. Not like professionally.
Azure Talon does sound like a professional wrestler's name.
Like a regional professional wrestler's name.
Not like
No, this is WWE business here. Maybe actually sometimes when you can't cut it in the WWE, people go over to Japan and get really huge. Sure, that sounds the name of a wrestler that got really big in Japan.
Congratulations.
So yeah, didn't realize.
Would he be a good guy wrestler or a bad guy wrestler? Or he would probably go back and forth.
Yeah, hopefully you'd have a really large narrative where you go back and forth a lot. Yeah. My hunch is he would be a good guy. He would talk about wanting to be a bad guy, but because that's the thing. Azure Talon likes to act like he's an evil badass, whatever, but he's desperately wants to be a good guy at heart. And the truth is, he's neither. He is true neutral. Anyway, Azure Talon's whining because he's sick of listening to us. I wish that you would make the hosts talk. Sorry, dear Magical Talking Hat. I wish that you would make the hosts talk about their favorite podcasts because I'm sick of listening to this one. All right, I added in that last part, but still.
You've been asked about that before. And
We have long ago though.
I don't listen to it.
Because keep in mind, we've been doing it for a decade. I am now listening to some podcasts.
Yeah, the McElroy brothers.
I am listening to the McElroy brothers. I also, and actually part of the reason I finally figured out how to do podcasts on my phone now, because it doesn't work the way it used to, was for a different one called Off Menu. And this is a British one that is comedian Ed Gamble and comedian James Acaster. And they get celebrities and they walk the celebrities through a fictitious restaurant in which they will order their perfect meal. But it's a process. So they have to discuss what they're going to drink with it. And then I think there's specifically for water, do you want still water or fizzy water? And then like what beverage you want. And then they have, do you want bread or you want poppadoms? And then you go through what's your starter, what's your entree, what's your side, and what's your dessert. And I got into it because I'm a big fan of both of them, but they also had a lot of other comedians that I like on there. But they also get big people, like American people on there and stuff. Most recently, they got Dan Aykroyd on there.
Really?
What's really shocking me is not that long ago, they got Rose McGowan on there. I don't even know. I can't imagine, like Rose McGowan has full on pulled back from public life, except to be very politically angry, like really mad all the time. So I'm like, how does that, I'm real eager to hear that one. But yeah, it's real fun and they just goof around, and anything that's just a bunch of comedians, you know, it's frequently real fun and screwy and all that. So yeah, and a lot of comedians, American comedians, and people that I'm like, how do they even know about this? But it's the internet. Paul F. Tompkins was on there. I'm like, really? Freaking Kumail on there. Actually, freaking Kumail on there. And then a different episode, several episodes later, Emily Gordon, his wife, is on there. And I've only listened to a couple so far, but I really enjoy it. And there's a huge backlog. So you can, there's like 100 and some episodes. So I would recommend that. I'm also going to be checking out the Adventure Zone, which is the McElroy brothers Let's Play D&D, which I've heard really good things about the first campaign. After that, there's some controversy out there, but
I have never played D&D seriously. Like I had a friend back in the day who had D&D and they wanted me to play, and I don't think we even really ever got into it. And except for, you know, the D&D elements of the Dark Alliance games, I've never played D&D.
I mean, but you have role played.
Yeah.
And you've played board games.
Yeah.
If you combine those two, that's D&D.
Oh, yeah.
It's just role playing, but with more rules, more specific rules. I'm not. So there's a controversy right now in the world of D&D because a long time ago, Wizards of the Coast, who had bought TSR, which was the company that created it, let the name TSR lapse copyright wise.
Okay.
And one of Gary Gygax, one of the inventors of D&D, one of his children picked it up and had been running things as TSR games for a while. And then he accidentally let it lapse, and a different child of Gary Gygax is now using it. And there are things said by this newly formed TSR Games that seem to imply a very anti-woke culture, anti-SJW stance on role-playing games. Okay. They just want it like the good old days where we didn't worry about that kind of stuff. And a whole bunch of backpedaling saying that's not what we said. But in any event, it has made a huge controversy across Twitter in particular about this. And I just keep having to fight the urge to reply to these and be like, y'all know D&D is like the worst of the role-playing games, right? You could just go play something else. Because they all love it. But I'm like, yeah, you don't need to get into this controversy. There are thousands of RPGs and most of them are better. So, but I don't do that because I'm nice. But my little guilty pleasure is I tell you all about it. All 9 of you
But you can
listening and watching.
But you can also play D&D just however the heck you want.
Also true. Also true. And it's it becomes not about D&D, it becomes about the community of D&D and what that means and all that. Which it also, I don't like belonging to communities, so that's fine too. If Cortex Prime had a big controversy like that, I would probably have nothing to do with it as well. I just would keep playing my game.
Yeah.
My big dream is to find a system that will always work for me and then never buy another role-playing product again, which I got to admit is not great for the industry. But, you know,
Well, I don't know.
good for me.
Yeah. You'd probably not have to spend money more than once, right? Like you get one, but what if they update it and stuff? You'd have to buy those.
Not if it works for me.
Oh, yeah.
As
I
is.
see what you're saying.
I just want a system that works. I will build my own color and setting and things like that. I just want a system that I can use all the time. And I have spent many years looking for such a thing and failing. I'm currently trying with Cortex Prime.
What's the typical thing that makes you go, nah, I can't use this again, or this isn't the thing?
It's a very it's different from each one. And the truth is I'm probably chasing an impossible goal because many people are of the belief that system informs the game, regardless of what setting or the things you're doing. The nature of the system. This system works better for fast-paced action games. This system works better for dramatic games. This system works better for this genre and not for this genre. And I just want to believe that's not true, but it probably kind of is. But I would like to find something that can be my home game. And just when I want to run something, if I want to run something quick or whatever, a one shot or whatever, I can just be like, yeah, I'll just make it in this. And for a while that was Fate, but I have since decided I'm not happy with Fate. So
why don't you just make up your own?
Because that takes a lot of work.
It does.
It really does.
Yeah,
I did years and years and years and years ago. I think I was still in high school. But no, it takes a lot of work. All right.
The Tony system.
The Tony system. You do what I say. All right, I got another one here. You want to read this one?
Oh, this has digestive juices all over it. We won't have to deal with that.
Yeah, another thing that will happen electronically.
Avengers Assemble.
It's Azure Talon.
It is Azure Talon. Azure Talon. How'd you know?
He's the only motherfucker who writes intros like that in the world, like not just on our podcast.
Did Cap get wealthy from investing going back in time? Was this ethical?
I mean, okay, spoilers for Avengers Endgame.
I guess. I mean, how should I know if he did that? I mean, here's the thing.
No, we're speculating.
Right. If I went back in time and I was doing something, right, that was not taking down sports scores or whatever, and I was done doing that.
All right, Biff.
And I was done doing that thing. And then, right after I went back in time again or something, I wouldn't remember I wouldn't remember anything. Well, I might remember like successful companies and stuff like that.
That's the thing that you could get in on IBM, Apple.
I might remember that. So then the question is,
Microsoft.
Would I do it?
Pets.com.
Oh man.
I mean, okay, we need to establish right out the gate here. The whole Captain, I mean, again, spoilers for Avengers Endgame. Fuck off. The whole Captain America goes back in time and just stays there and lives out his life with Peggy is utter bullshit on an enormous level and is 100% fan service, is 100% because people wanted to see them together.
No,
But
that's right.
it makes no sense. It's a terrible idea. It in and of itself is fairly unethical. It creates a whole lot of plot confusion and holes and paradox and terrible things.
Agreed.
It's bullshit.
Yeah, we agree on that.
So we can set that aside.
Setting that aside, even though we didn't set it aside, we addressed
No,
it.
we did. But now that we have, we're gonna push it aside and we're gonna say, wasn't it cool how Cat went and did that, whatever? But did he get rich
Yeah, did he?
through his knowledge of the future?
And is that an ethical thing if he did?
The second part is interesting. The first part is less interesting because, unfortunately, of the stuff we set aside. No, he didn't do it because no, he didn't fucking stay back there and live out a life because none of that is what he would do. And if by some reason he did the first three things, he wouldn't do that one also. So no. But if somebody were to do that, would it be ethical? Strictly speaking, I think not.
Strictly speaking. But just because it's interfering with the timeline.
I mean, that's the problem is I think strictly speaking, time travel to the past is unethical.
Right. So everything you do is by definition.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
No, I think I agree with that actually.
Because I mean, butterfly invests its money in Tokyo and there's a hurricane in wherever.
Sure.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing. And you also run the risk of somebody else pays attention to what you're doing because it is hard. I mean, you have to scale it very carefully. It is hard to become very, very rich and not become well known, at least amongst the other very rich.
Okay, so let's say you get stuck back there against, and it's not your choice.
Yeah.
So,
I'm doing it. Absolutely.
So
absolutely. Fuck the time.
The point was, you didn't do the unethical thing of getting back there. Something else stuck you back there.
All right.
So now, do you have an ethical obligation to be a hermit or something, or what are your ethical obligations now that you've been forced back there? Do you get to live a life, or do ethics constrain you and say, no, I can't? No, ethically, I couldn't choose to be here, but now I have to, like, I don't know, kill yourself? Would you ethically have to commit suicide?
I think if you really, I think so.
Interesting.
Well, okay. We're assuming a lot here.
Yeah.
What we're basically assuming is that maintaining of a known timeline is an ethical consideration.
Yes, we are assuming that. That's a big one.
And it's one, a lot of shows that deal with time travel, this is one of their main focuses. And I always find it ridiculous because in some strange ways, the old like 50s and 60s versions where like you go to the past and you do something and then you come back and like it's a dinosaur world or whatever are more realistic than the shit where on like Timeless or whatever, where you go back and, you don't have a sister, but otherwise it's the same. Well, like that's not how things work.
Well, now here's another thing though. If where you're thrown is the past, then it's already you're already a part of your past, right? It already happened and you just didn't know it until it happened to you.
Yes, and that's the sort of single timeline theory, which believes that it is immutable, in which case whatever I did, it's again, it becomes the free will conundrum that we all have anyway. In theory, whatever I did I already did it to create the timeline we have. If we're dealing with a situation where the timeline is not static, but we want it to be,
no,
which is honestly, that's how Star Trek does it. That's how Loki is doing it right now, all that kind of stuff. Then we're required to do that. On a personal level, it would become a thing of, well, first of all, I have friends and family and loved ones and things. And if I fuck up the timeline, I could ruin their lives.
Or maybe they won't exist.
Well, and that becomes the thing. And then it's real easy to screw up, depending on how far you go back, it's real easy to screw up enough that you're not born.
Yeah, yeah.
And then does reality explode? I mean, am I my own grandpa?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. Cards on the table. Literally. Let's set aside the broader ethical question, because the truth is it depends on your view of time travel and your view on timelines and what that means.
Right.
So let's say we don't know.
Yeah.
But as soon as we leave this tiny cubicle, wizard comes over, bonks you on the head, sends you back in time.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Do you think? What do you most like? I know this is a hypothetical and it's difficult, but the good news is it will never come up. So whatever answer you say, nobody can disprove or argue the point with you.
I feel like I would think to myself that the safest thing to do, with having no knowledge of what the right thing to do is, like you said, you know, all of these things are assumptions.
Yeah.
That it seems like the thing that would be the safest would be to find somewhere, you know, to take my own life, you know, so that I'm not discovered or whatever, because that seems like that would have possibly a zero result, and anything else would have a greater than zero result, whatever it was, right?
I mean, yeah.
Now, the only thing that would dissuade me from that line of thinking is if, like I said, it was in the past, and it's like, but if I'm in the past, this has already happened, and I already know what the world's going to be like, and there's nothing particularly wrong with it, unless all the bad things about the world that I just came from was because of me. But then,
which I think is definitely possible.
Yeah.
I could see that.
So I don't know. I think the ethics would sort of lead me to think I've got to take my own life somewhere where someone's not going to find me and know that I came from the future.
Well, and there's the real easy.
Not because that's the right answer,
No,
because
no.
I don't. That's the best.
No, we've established we can't have our answer.
Yeah.
There's also the implication that if you alter a timeline, literally no one knows, or like, it's not like people are missing out on what they had, because literally this is how life is going.
This is right.
And you can also argue that if you're going to drastically change the timeline, it's almost guaranteed, while some people's lives will be worse and some people won't be born, some people's lives will be better and new people will be born that weren't born anyway.
And the further into the future you go, the less the effect is going to even be.
Yes. So here's what I can tell you about what I would do.
Okay.
First of all, what I think I would do is probably not what I would do.
Okay.
The more I think about it, the more overwhelming it is, and the more it would be affected by when and where I went back and who was there, and a lot of just random chance that would very greatly alter my viewpoint of things. But insofar as I could think of it, I don't think I would kill myself. And I see, this is where it gets where I think I would probably attempt to have a relatively quiet life, although that would not necessarily preclude other people. But I also think I would be one drunken night away from saying fuck it and being the dude to invent the iPhone. Like, I feel like it would not take much. I'm a weak-willed person, and I feel like it would not take much for me to say, screw it, I'm gonna become Jeff Bezos before he does.
Well, I do feel like that if I decided, no, I'm not going to kill myself, there wouldn't be very much of a middle ground. It'd be like, if I'm going to live a life,
you're just going to live it.
I mean, because since I have no idea which thing's good or bad, then why worry about it at all after that point?
Yeah,
if I've decided I'm not going to take my life, then it's pretty much anything goes after that, as far as I'm concerned. There's not really middle.
And we would be remiss if we did not mention that this only is a fun hypothetical game because we're a couple of white dudes.
Yeah. That's another
If
thing.
we weren't white and or we weren't dudes,
Maybe our answer would be
whole
very
game
different. Yeah,
changer.
right.
And we very much might not be in a position where we have a lot
Had
of
a lot of
choice on
choices.
that.
That's right.
Although, to be fair, depending on how far back and whatever, we also might not have a lot of choice.
True.
But like we've got a lot more wiggle room on that
Yep.
than others. So,
Yeah, that's right.
so to sum up, Edge Helen, no, the whole cap thing is dumb. If it still has to happen, no, he did not. But if it happened and he did, even though he did not, even though it's all really dumb, yes, it would be unethical. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Won't you?
I had one of those. I don't know why.
I wonder if they're gonna like knock on our door here.
I don't know. I'm guessing there's a bunch open, so
Yeah, probably.
we're not quite over time. So RiffTrax has a Roku app now.
Okay, so you can watch it on your TV.
Yes. But you still gotta buy it. Well, they actually have for some free things. But most of it you still have to pay for. And I was like, okay. But they've got a new thing now. Friends of RiffTrax. And it's a subscription service. And you don't get access to the entire catalog, but you get access to like several hundred films and shorts and things like that. And it's like $6 a month. And so on a whim the other day, I joined up. And so I have been watching a lot of RiffTrax because I usually do it on Amazon. But first of all, I'm like, if I am going to spend money, they're getting a lot less of it if I'm buying it from Amazon. But also, the free ones are never the ones I want to see at the time. I'm like, this one seems dumb. I want to see that. Oh, I don't want to pay the money for that. So I was like, screw it, I'll do this. So I've been doing that. But yeah, so I watched something recently and they did a thank you, won't you kind of thing. Because that's where that comes from originally. Well, from Mystery Science Theater 3000, from a Turkey Day marathon.
Thank you.
I believe where Mike Nelson was pretending to be James Beard, maybe? I can't remember for sure. Yeah, we do have to wrap it up because yeah, people are gonna come and kill us. Hope the sound got picked up. Good.
Yeah, it's a good mic, so as long as it's
you're a good Michael. Who's a good mic? I'd scooch you, but it would make terrible feedback noise.
yeah, probably.
Oh, you scooch you under the chin instead. If you want to be more involved in the show, write an email to the hat, themagicaltalkinghat.com or themagicaltalkinghat@gmail.com. And then eventually we will be reading your email on the air and discussing it in fine detail. Probably, maybe. In the meantime, if you have things to say about all of this, I'm gesturing to the cards we drew. You can't see that, but all of this, go to the blog, themagicaltalkinghat.com. Tell us your stuff. That is genuinely some of my favorite part of this is reading what people have to say afterwards, because it makes me feel less alone. Like I'm shouting into the void. And also, I have a couple of friends who listen and never comment on anything. And then as soon as I see them, they're like, oh my God, I got to talk to you about it. And I'm like, put it on the thing.
Share it with the world.
I also had someone,
Also,
I had a friend recently who I mentioned something and they were like, really? And I was like, yeah, you listen to the podcast. You should have heard this. And she said, you have to remember, I end up tuning out large portions of it because you're talking about video games or role-playing it like she doesn't care about. So sometimes I miss when you're talking about stuff I care about again. And I was like, that's horribly insulting. And I totally get it.
She should write in more often. So I talk about what she wants.
She doesn't write in at all. And also I don't listen at all. So, I mean, I get it. I wouldn't want to listen to me either. And I already don't listen to him.
We can talk about just about anything, even stuff we don't know anything about, especially things we don't know.
I would say the only stuff we can't talk about is stuff that embarrasses William. And even a subset of that we can talk about. But if somebody writes in, it's like, hey, hosts, what's good with your dicks? Like that would probably be a problem for Will. See right here already, just the thought of somebody asking. So that wouldn't, you probably couldn't get us to talk very much about that. we'd probably just say they're fine and move on. But outside of that realm, of which, if I'm totally honest, I don't think there's a lot of interest in that category of
Good. That's
stuff.
good to know.
I mean, if there is, tell us about it on the blog,
No,
the Magical
don't
Talk.
do that.
But outside of a very specific realm there, I mean, if you want us to talk about other people's dicks, I think that's fine.
No.
All right, fine. Assume most stuff that is undick related is fine, and we'll probably talk about it. I had an episode title earlier. I've already forgotten it.
I'm not going to remember.
I know right now all I can think of is undick related,
No.
and that's a terrible.
Yeah. We don't. I mean, the SEO on that would be
No,
just
we
terrible.
one time I put, I believe, shit in the title early on, and like people wouldn't even
Mhm.
download it because they're like, I don't want the internet
Yeah. You don't.
doing that.
Mm.
I wrote it earlier. I'll figure it out at some point. You'll know what it is by now yourself. So, all right. So we will see you next week in some form. I don't know what it'll be, but you'll see us. So get ready for that. Okay, bye.